I remember sitting in my mother's basement after losing everything, and all I had left was a couch and a TV. That was all that I owned. My bank account was in the negative. I had no plan as to how I was going to see my way through all this and get back on my feet and get ahead again. Fast forward all that to today, and I work with entrepreneurs and millionaires all over the world. I get to help develop people in their businesses and help them reach their goals in life and business. And you see, the person that I am today is definitely not the person I was back then. Believe me, I've come a long way. But now let me tell you how I did it. So often people meet me and they assume that what they see today is how I've always been. You see, what I am today is not even close to who I used to be. Not even in the ballpark. And so what I've learned is that I've had to overcome a lot of obstacles, a lot of setbacks, a lot of challenges. Like many of you, I'm sure, that are watching. You've had to overcome a lot of things to become the person you are, and you're still not where you want to be. You see, for me, my backstory is I'm a kid that comes from nothing. I come from the bottom, single-parent mother and a father on drugs as an 80s baby, living in the inner city, trying to figure this whole thing out. And what is life supposed to look like on the other side of all this poverty? And so today I want to share with you some of the things that I've learned on my journey and how I went from being dead broke to then helping millionaires, successful entrepreneurs, and business owners all over the world. You see, as I began my journey to becoming the person that I am, the first thing that I had to realize was that there was a reality check that I had to give myself. You see, during that reality check, I learned there are three types of people in the world. There are winners, there are losers, and then there are the contenders. See, the winners are the people who have made it. These are the people who know how to win. These are the people who have achieved their goals. They've made it in life. They've had success. They know how to overcome and win. If they lost it all, they know how to win it all back. And then you've got the largest of the three groups, and that's the losers. You see, these are the people who have given up on life. The losers have made the decision that there's nothing I can do to change my situation. This is just what it's going to be. This is who I am. This is what my past says about me, and I accept it as it is. And they've embraced being a loser. They've embraced being who they are and never wanting to achieve more, but settling for what they currently have or less. And then there's the third group. And this is where I think a lot of you probably come in. You see, you are the contenders. You are the winners who have not yet learned how to win. And what I've learned about being a contender is that if a contender is given a shot, that's all they need is a shot to show their genius. If the contender has a shot to show their genius, they can go on and do amazing things. You see, if you're anything like me, I'm a diehard boxing fan. Like, I'm diehard boxing, been around boxing my whole life, love it, love it, love it. Would never do it, never get in the ring. I respect the talent of those who do it, but I'm just a fan who loves to who loves to watch the sport. And what I've learned about boxing is that there's always a champ and there's a contender. And the champ is who everybody believes is going to win the fight. They've convinced themselves that the champ is going to make it happen. He's got what it takes to win. The contender, nobody believes in. Sometimes his own team doesn't even believe that he can win the fight. And the contender in his mind is saying to himself, if I can land one good punch on the champ, I can change the entire thing. And he goes in with the mindset of landing that one good punch. Example, Buster Douglas when he fought Mike Tyson years ago. He went in with the mindset of landing one good punch. Nobody believed, the judges probably didn't believe, the betting definitely didn't believe. Nobody believed that Buster Douglas had the ability to knock out the champ. And he did. And it's the same for many of you in your business and in your lives. You just need to believe that if I can land one good shot on life, if I can land the right shot, I can change this whole thing. And that was the belief that I had to gain. I came into this with the mindset of, I don't know what I'm doing. As I began to learn and I began to realize what my skill sets were and what I was good at and what I wasn't good at, and as I began to invest more into my own development of those skills, I realized all I need is a shot to show my genius. I just need a chance. I just need to get in the room. If I can get in the room and just show what I know, then maybe that could be the difference maker. But before I can show my genius, I've got to decide, where do I sit? Am I a winner? Am I a loser? Or am I a contender? And it's the same for you. You can make this decision and change your mind anytime by simply making a decision in life. So as you identify where you sit as a winner, a loser, or a contender, the next thing that you have to do is begin to dream. You see, you got to dream. You got to become a dreamer. You got to think creatively. You got to think out the box. You got to picture your life in a way that you've never done it before. You have to see your life in ways that you can't physically see or visually see right in front of you. You see, sometimes the dreamer is the only one that can see the vision. No one else can see it until you bring it to life. So it's important that on this journey, after you've identified your reality check, that you now begin to dream of, what does life look like as I move forward? What is it that I want to accomplish? What is the vision? What is the dream? What is the thing that I'm here to do? And what should that look like as I go forward? You see, for me, I had to learn to dream. And for me, that dream started sleeping on a couch in my mother's basement. And I saw myself walking out onto a stage. And I walked out onto the stage for the first time. And I saw all these people in the audience, all standing ovation. Never have I done anything like this, and definitely hadn't dreamed of anything like this before, but this is what I saw. And as I walked out on the stage, I stood there and everybody stood up and applauded. And I grabbed the microphone and I woke up. I still to this day, 20 years later, have no idea what happened in that dream. What I do know is that dream set me up to believe what was actually able to happen in my life and what could actually happen and how would that look moving forward and how would I get there? Which brings me to the next ingredient, the next principle. It's possible. You see, one of my favorite speakers, Les Brown, tells a story of how he was speaking with one of his teachers, and one of his teachers told him, "It's possible, Mr. Brown." That has stuck with me forever because I remember being that kid surrounded by drugs, gangs, and violence, and looking out at my lifestyle and the neighborhood I lived in, not knowing how I would ever make these things happen. How would I ever achieve the goals that I saw in my mind? How would this dream that I'm envisioning come to life? And then I once heard him say, "It's possible." You see, it's possible you can live your dreams. It's possible you can reach your goals. You see, the belief on the planet back in the 50s was that no human being was physically capable of running 1 mile in under 4 minutes. Then came along this amazing athlete named Roger Bannister. And you see, Roger not only was an amazing athlete, but he was fast. He was good, and he had a crazy idea that one day he could become the first to do it. So Roger ran in the race. And not only did he win the race, but Roger did it, Roger completed the race in under 4 minutes. He was the first to ever run the mile in under 4 minutes. 3 weeks later, his second place opponent, John Lundy, also ran the mile, and he did it under 4 minutes. What changed? The only thing that changed was they believed it's possible. If Roger can do it, I can do it. Tens of thousands of people have now run the mile in under 4 minutes. And so for me, what I had to do was find an example of my "it's possible" moment. I had to find an example of that person, that thing, that place, that whatever it was that inspired and motivated me and kept me encouraged and pushing through when I had nothing left. I had to hold on to something to remind me when I closed my eyes, I could see my dream and my vision of this is what I want my life to look like. Because when I open my eyes, my reality doesn't match. And I held on to that and told myself every day, it's possible. It's possible, Kris. One day you can live your dreams. One day you can achieve that goal, even though your current circumstances don't match. Because when I open my eyes, what I see is poverty, drugs, prostitution, all throughout my neighborhood. Nothing matched the vision in my head. So it's important that as you go on this journey that you hold on to your "it's possible" moment, and you hold on tight and you refuse to let go. and you think about it and you dream about it and you talk about it and you continue to remind yourself it's possible. If this person can do it, I can do it. The next thing that I want to share with you, this is where I believe most entrepreneurs give up. This is where most business people fail. This is where most of us quit in life. And I just want to be totally honest with you, if that's okay. The next one is, it's hard. It's hard. Let's just be honest for a second. It is extremely hard building a business. It's hard believing in yourself. It's hard when your friends and family don't support you. It's hard when the people around you call you crazy and delusional because you want to do something that's never been done before. It's hard when you make the decision that you want to be the first in your family to graduate college. It's hard. And you're going to be tested in ways that are just unimaginable, ways that you can't even comprehend. And you see, for me, I'm a firm believer that the way we survive our hard times is we have to stay focused on the goal and we address the problems. We focus on the goal and address the problem as needed, but what we never do is give full attention or focus to the goal. To the problem. We have to stay focused on the goal to win. And so when you think of the deer who walks out onto the highway, I think we've all seen, if you've traveled, or especially if you live around Michigan, you've definitely seen this. The deer walks out onto the highway and he stands there and he doesn't move. He is mesmerized by the lights of the oncoming vehicle. Or like the bird who sees the snake and is mesmerized by the winding movements of the snake. If the bird would look away, he would break the spell, fly away, and live. But he doesn't. He stands there. And the snake gets closer and closer and then consumes the bird whole. And the deer stands on the road, sees the vehicle coming, and doesn't move. And before you know it, the vehicle takes the deer out as well. And for many of us, it's the same in our lives. We look at the goal. We think about the goal. We talk about the goal. We fall in love with it. We're excited about it. Then all of a sudden, something happens in life. We get distracted by problems, a death in the family, kids in trouble in school. My spouse says they want a divorce. I just lost my job. My car breaks down. Now, all of a sudden, you're no longer looking at the goal anymore. Now you're looking at the problem. And you think about it, and you talk about it, and you tell your friends about it. Some of you post it all over Facebook. You put the videos on TikTok. You put it all over Instagram. Now you've told the world about it. And what happens? As you feed the problem, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it gets closer and closer. And as the problem gets bigger and it gets closer, it will take you out the same as the bird and the same as the deer. And what happens is it consumes you whole. And now you've been consumed whole by life. When all you had to do was look away for that long. And so what you do is you focus on the problem. You focus on the goal and you address the problem. You focus on the goal and you address the problem as needed, but you never, ever give full focus to the problem. If you do this, this is how you will survive the hard times. This is how you will get through the times when you don't have anything left. This is how you will survive when you want to quit and you want to give up. You will find strength in the midst of all of this to keep you moving forward and pushing through. But no, it's hard. There's nothing easy about building a business. There's nothing easy about the life that you want. Choose your hard. It's either hard being broke or hard pushing through. Those are your choices. One way or another, you're going to pay a price. You see, the next thing that I want to share with you, for me, is probably one of the most valuable principles that I help entrepreneurs and others learn to be successful in life and business. You see, there's going to come a time on this journey where all the motivation in the world cannot help you. There's going to come a time where there's nothing we can say as friends, family, coaches, spiritual leaders, mentors, supporters, business partners. There's nothing that we can say that's going to lift you out of that hole that you've fallen into when life got hard and times challenged you. And you've realized how hard this journey is, but you still want to figure out how to get there. And you're fighting and you're pushing and you have nothing left and you're ready to quit. This is when you learn you must have faith. You see, I'm a firm believer that faith carries me when I have nothing left. Faith moves me forward when I don't have the strength to move myself forward. Faith carries me when I'm ready to give up. And I'm done and I'm down and I'm out. You see, in the scripture, it says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So it's important that you understand those times that you got through your hard times with, when you were ready to give up and you were ready to quit, it was faith that carried you when you had nothing left. It was your faith that led you when you were ready to quit and you didn't see how you would make this work. It was your faith that carried you through those times. You see, as I slept on the couch in my mother's basement and thinking to myself, trying to figure out how am I going to bounce back from this? I had given up on life. I had given up on my goals and I had given up on myself. I once had a friend tell me, people give up on life, they give up on their careers, they give up on friends and family. People even give up on God. If they're willing to give up on God, why wouldn't they give up on you? And so what that means for me is I had to understand that there was nothing anyone around me could do for me at that particular time. All I had left was my faith. That's all I had left to keep me going and carry me through was my faith. And every day I prayed about it. I dreamed about it. I read affirmations to myself. I studied personal development, some of the greatest minds in the world, and how they overcome hard times and struggles and challenges to help keep me motivated and inspired to see my way through these difficult times. And on the other side of all the challenge that I had, what I learned was it was my faith that was carrying me when I had nothing left. And so as I got through and I pushed through using faith, I get to the other side. And the other side of this is why we do what we do. This is the reason, the theme that drives us. And it's the victory. You see, this is the sweet music that we hear on the other side. This is the celebration. This is running through the ribbon at the race, the marathon. This is cutting the red ribbon on your grand opening. This is why you've paid the price, was to get to the victory. And I'll be the first to admit, and I say this in all humbleness, but I've had a lot of victories in life. I've had a lot of victories. I've overcome a lot of obstacles and a lot of challenges on my journey. Things that I never dreamed that I'd be faced with and definitely did not think I would ever overcome. Things in my personal life, things in my business world, things that I've helped others achieve and accomplish. Things that I've helped serve the world with that have become strengths of mine now that become a part of who I am and what I do every day. The victory is why we do this. And you see, for me, I would say one of my biggest victories, man, I mean, so many to pick from, to be honest with you. One of my biggest victories is serving, helping others win. I remember being the young guy who didn't know, and I had no idea how to figure it out. And I would sit at a bookstore every day, all day, stack of books that I couldn't afford to buy. So I would read as much as I could sitting in the store and taking pictures of the titles of the book and looking them up at home and on Google and Amazon and, whatever I could do to take information in until I could one day eventually afford to buy the actual book. I never dreamed that this would be my reality. And then after doing all that, I got the crazy idea that one day I want to write a book and I want to serve the world. And I don't know what that looks like yet, but I'm going to figure it out. And so I called up a friend of mine, Shannon, and I told her about this crazy idea that I had that, I want to write a book and I think you'll be the perfect person to help me get there. And we had a great conversation about it. She said, yes, let's do it. She got on board with me. We did it. We spent the next year working through this book called From Success to Significance, the 8 Keys to Achieving Any Goal or Dream. I wanted to share the tips, tricks, and principles and key ingredients that I personally use to achieve my success and how I've then used those things to help millions of people all over the world. So I wanted to figure that out. and how to do that. And so we began to put this book together, and then I submitted it off to publishers, and I eventually got published with a publishing agency called Morgan James out of New York that took on the book for me, and together we put it all together and rolled it out in bookstores. And one of my goals was to do a book signing in Barnes & Noble. And why this was a big goal for me is because 17 years earlier, when I started my journey to get into business, I worked in Woodland Mall here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I worked at a small tuxedo store here, and I had this crazy idea all these years later that one day I want to go back there and tell the story of how I did this. And to think 17 years later, I've gone around the world, literally, from Woodland Mall back to the Barnes & Noble in Woodland Mall now to tell the story of how it all started here all those years ago. And I remember I was driving to my book signing that day. And I remember Shannon called me and said, "Where are you at? You're late." You know, anybody that knows me, I will admit I occasionally run late every now and then. This was one of those times I was late getting to my own book signing because I was stuck in a traffic jam. And she's like, "You're late." I'm like, "Shannon, I'm like 5-10 minutes away from there. I'll be there in just a few minutes, blah, 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 whatever." And then we wrapped up the call. And so I remember being stuck in this traffic jam and being reminded to myself of a story from Lisa Nichols, amazing speaker, author, storyteller. And she tells this story about how she was stuck in a traffic jam in LA on her way to an event with her best friend. And as she's going through, her best friend says, "Lisa, I wonder if all these people are going to see you." She said, "There's no way. There's no way possible all these people are headed to my event." And then the lady pulls up next to her and she says to her, "Lisa, I'm going to see you." And Lisa realized in that moment that this was her traffic jam. So I started thinking to myself, I wonder if this is my traffic jam. And then that little voice that we all have in the back of our head, it reminded me, "Kris, you're a first-time author no one's heard of. Kris, who would ever go through all this hassle to come and see you? Kris, you're a kid from the inner city who had a father on drugs and grew up with a single mother. You come from nothing. No one's ever heard of you." And in that moment, I convinced myself, there's no way this is my traffic jam. And I kept going. And I remember I got to the Barnes & Noble and I walked in and some of the staff met me at the door and they rushed me up the escalator to get up there. And as I got started, we started introducing speakers that people that I partnered with, and Shannon got a chance to speak and tell a little bit about why she chose to be a part of this project and all these things. And then it came time for me to get on the microphone. And I only wanted a few minutes. I just wanted to share with people why this was so important to me and why I had to write this book and why I wanted to serve in this capacity. And I remember I grabbed the mic and I started sharing my story and my background and, you know, how I got here. And before I knew it, all the seats in front of me had filled up. There wasn't a single empty seat in front of me. And a few minutes later, there's a standing group behind all the seats. A few minutes after that, there's people standing wrapped all the way down through the front of the store, the back of the store around the escalator. They took me off of the microphone and off this little speaker they had, and they put me into the full intercom system. And I remember I shared my story, I got an applause, and the staff came out and they made like a wall, like a barricade around me to help me get downstairs. And so I remember they made a way through the crowd, they got me downstairs, they sat me at the table, Shannon was there waiting for me, and we began signing books. I don't know, 30, 45 minutes later, my hand starts to cramp and I'm still signing books. And I remember talking to my guy, Nick, and we had a short conversation and he was telling me how excited he was to be there and how great the event was. And I told him there's all these people here. Like, where are they coming from? And he says, "Kris, what are you talking about? All of these people are here to see you." And Nick pulled out his phone and he showed me a picture of the line of people stretched out of the store at Barnes & Noble that day, who had all come to meet and celebrate this poor kid from the inner city, who people told would never make it, who people said would never achieve anything in life, who society told would be in jail, prison, or dead by the time I was 25. Based on the stereotypical stats and all the things that they say about young black men, I never in a million years dreamed that one day this would be my life. And now here I am, sitting in this store, signing book after book. People are buying them by the stacks. I became the second highest selling author at that Barnes & Noble location since Sarah Palin. I become a best-selling author and able to move books all over the world after that, including what I did that evening. Never in a million years would you have ever convinced me that one day, Kris, your life won't look like this anymore. One day, that thing that you think about and you dream about will become your reality. And it happened for me. And so I say to you, what is your victory? What is that thing that you say, Kris, this is the thing. This is the thing that I'm after. This is the goal. And if I can achieve this, it will be the game changer in my life and in my story. And I say to you, identify that victory. Hold on tight. Refuse to let go. And hold on with everything you've got and be willing to fight for it. Be willing to give up time and sleep at night for it. Refuse to give up until you have the thing that you're after. The last thing that I want to share with you. This is the reason why we do this now. When you become successful and you reach a certain level of success in life and business, yeah, the money is important, but it's not always about the money. You know, I believe that once you've achieved a certain level of success, the money changes and has a completely different meaning for you. You see, the reason why a lot of successful people do this today is because of significance. You see, we do this not to become more successful, but to help others find their lane of becoming successful. I'm at the point in my life now where it's become, how many people can I serve before my time is up? How many people can I help achieve their goals and dreams before God says, Kris, it's time to come home? That's where I'm at. I want to serve the world. I want to serve the people. I want to show them what it looks like to win in life, how to get ahead and reach their own goals and dreams, how to take the things that I've learned, the tips, the tricks, the principles, the key ingredients that I've learned over all of my years of doing this, and I've compiled in stories and books and in other messaging. How do I take all of that and share that with the right individual who says, this is what I need to achieve where I'm going? They need that support. And that for me is significance. I didn't do this to make millions. I didn't start this to make millions. I did it to help millions. It just so happens we made millions as a part of the process along the journey. That's how it worked. And so now I say to you, you already have a victory that you've achieved. You have a victory that you've achieved in life. You have something that you've accomplished, that you've done, that has been the thing for you that has made it worth it. How can you share that story with someone else? How do you share that journey of winning with someone else? How do you take what you've learned and pour that into and invest in someone else? And as you begin to do that, you will find a value. You will find this thing that overcomes you that's far greater than the money. Because the money doesn't compare. It doesn't. It's something special when you serve and help others win. Because the helping of them winning will also help you win. The last thing that I want to share with you is a poem that you'll find at the back of my book, From Success to Significance, the 8 Keys to Achieving Any Goal or Dream. The poem is titled To Live Your Dreams. This poem I wrote years ago, and I've basically become known by it with all of my keynote events and all the things that I do and my content even. But the reason this poem is so important to me is because I wrote this at a time where this is when I was figuring out what is it going to take to win and how do I overcome. And as I discovered the principles, the tips and ingredients that I needed to get over the hump, I wrote this to tell others, here is exactly what you need and what has to happen in your life to overcome the obstacle that you have in your path. To go from being dead broke to reaching the goal, the money, the success, or whatever you're after in life and business on the other side, I'm going to lay out exactly what needs to be done for you. To live your dreams, you must be willing to fight for it. Make steps every day and night for it. Be willing to give up time and sleep at night for it. Have patience, work hard, and do more than just try for it. Remember, Martin had a dream and he was willing to die for it. You have to believe and have dreams at night about it. Feel your life is just useless and incomplete without it. Be willing to take a setback to reach it. And know that others before you have achieved it. Know in your heart that you cannot be defeated. Use all your strength, skills, and prepare to take action. And not reaching your goal is never an option. Stay moving forward towards your goal until you hit it. And I promise through the power of God, you will get it. Thank you. I really hope you enjoy this message. I hope the tips and things that I've shared in this video help and encourage and inspire and motivate you on your journey as you begin to move forward to achieve your goals and dreams. Take a look at the other videos here that I've left on the screen. They fit right in this same category of educational content that's designed to walk alongside of you as a tool to help you achieve the things that you're after. Again, thank you for checking out, and I'll see you in the next one.